Welcome, everyone, to our next session of Big Data Days 2023. And for our next session, I have a very special speaker and a very special topic because we're going to be talking about value-driven big data and analytics architectures and frameworks. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you, all the way from Saudi Arabia, Mohammed Usman Haider, who is a big data and AI architect in the telecommunications industry. Usman is a certified big data and analytics professional with strong expertise in big data, applied data science, business intelligence, and enterprise data warehousing, especially implementing petabyte analytic ecosystems and data platforms. He possesses strong business and technical knowledge of telecommunications, insurance, and banking industry, together with the necessary skills to analyze and investigate commercial and technical challenges. It's the first time of Mohammed presenting at Big Data Days, so I'm very pleased to welcome him today towards our conference. Mohammed, it's a great pleasure to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. So I have already explained my introduction, so I will be starting with the topic. Why exactly I have chosen this topic as value-driven big data analytics. So if you talk about big data, or specifically if you link the big data with specifically the one of the, I would say, big use case of data lakes, we are not now hearing a lot of terms like data swamps. Okay, we are building a lot of big data lakes, we're building a lot of analytics stacks around that, but a lot of companies are ending up in data swamp. So of course we need to figure out why we are ending up as a data swamp rather than a purely analytics, I would say, ecosystem that drives the value. Okay. So I'll be more focusing on the value, okay, and specifically I'll be covering the telecom industry because I have more experience in telecom, working in a couple of, I would say, continents. So I'll be more focused on value, big data, and telecom sector use cases. So of course, when you talk about like a decade back, when we were enterprise data warehousing and business intelligence stack, and we are working in a manner of like enterprise reporting, analytical reporting, a bit of start of self-service business intelligence, and we have approximately terabytes of data in especially telecom. Okay, if I remember that days, at that time we have less flow of data, but we are more focused on value, while like reporting, analytics, KPIs. But the way we move toward the big data stacks and we build the data lake and we have a deep store, okay, we have built a lot of petabytes of deep stores, but we are not very much focused on the value, what we are getting from investing in a lot of cheap stores, investing in a lot of big compute, but what exactly is the value come from that? It actually really matters nowadays. Okay, because you have like one of the telecom, we approximately built 7.6 petabyte of data lake. Okay, but of course, and we migrated from a lot of legacies, and now we are talking about purely depending on Delta Lakes or data lake house strategy. Okay, but the really which comes from the CXO level is, guys, you are investing on a data lake or you're in a big data stack. What exactly is the value coming out from that as compared to the old legacy system, the old way of work? I would say not say legacy systems is like enterprise data warehousing, or going for the hybrid approach and you have a deep store. What exactly, other than having a deep, I would say, deep data stores or multiple temperature store, what exactly the value you are bringing from that big data stack? When it comes to specifically the value, we talk about the products or we talk about the use cases. We talk about when it comes to telecom, because it's in simple words, telecom is the funnel everything is passing through. We have a lot of billions and billions of, I would say, records or call data records at the moment. Okay, you need to work on improving our customer experience, have a targeted marketing, because now one of the biggest challenge in we have millions of customers, we have billions of data points, and we have very much long big data points in terms of geographical as well as customer points. Okay, so we need to have a personalized custom to understand the customer at a personalized way. Okay, we need to have a target marketing. We need to have a predictive churn, because we have competitors in market that are offering much better, that have much cheaper products. We need to retain our customer. We need to invest in planning, like we are moving toward 5G, even talking about 6G technologies. So we need to plan our investment, especially in terms of infrastructure, especially in terms of data centers, even in terms of our people and all the areas linked. You need to talk about real-time analytics. If you are losing, for sake of I'll give you a simple example, you send an offer at a real time to the customer, which is next best offer for approximately 200 plus million customers, okay? And we send approximately more than 25 million offers a day. So it should be a real-time analytics. You do your top up, you get a real-time offer, having a lot of big data stack behind, doing a lot of processing and using machine learning techniques to predict your next best offer or a dynamic pricing. Of course, you have a lot of customers, you have a lot of revenue, and you need to prevent the revenue leakages. And last but not the least, data monetization. You have a lot of data. You know your customer, where he's moving, where he's going, what exactly he's using. All the data points you have, you can monetize your data. So big data has a very huge scope, huge role. Even the telecom industry, I believe, is very far ahead when it comes to big data implementation as well. These are a couple of use cases. Of course, there are a lot of areas which can be touched, like optimizing data centers, a lot of other things which can be touched, but I'll be focusing on these couple of areas. Of course, when you talk about data, it comes from different source systems. Okay, it comes from different source streams. We are capturing customer information. We're capturing demographic of the customers. We have a lot of other streams like customer behavior, customer feedback, product information, operational data, and network data. Big in the amount or the big in the volume is network data, of course. So we need the big data stack to actually build it. If for sake of I want to build a customer persona, I need to have all the network data of the customer. I need to have all the billing data of the customer. I need to have all the network points of the customer. I need to have all the touch points like customer touch point, sales touch point, or touch point, all the touch point he's using on our network. Of course, let me give you a brief story about one of the projects which we moved from the legacy, I would say, the enterprise data warehouse to purely a big data or a ground up big data stack. So what were exactly the key challenges behind? It was approximately 300 terabytes of data, enterprise data warehouse, which we were running. Reporting was perfectly fine. There were a couple of challenges, but it was fine. Time to delivery was also perfectly fine. But one of the key challenges was that we are less understanding our customers, and our competitors are selling much best offer, customized offers to the customer by understanding the data. Okay, for understanding data, you need to have more data. Okay, for saying you need to have more data, you need to have more infrastructure. You need to compute the data. You need to compute the data with a less amount of time. You need to clean that data, and you don't need to end up with the data swamp. Okay, so the way we design is, and a couple of other challenges like higher TCO when you talk about the engineered systems, like a lot of technology. I don't want to name the technologies, but there are a lot of engineered systems which are very expensive in terms of expansion, in terms of scalability, and even a lot of challenges when it comes to horizontal or vertical scaling as well. So we actually build a ground up, and of course we cannot go for a greenfield implementation. We need to be very, very pragmatic in our architecture and framework, and even our strategies as well. We need to build a big data strategy in a way that should be pragmatic, and we build a ground up. I would say a big data stack, or specifically we build a data lake, which was a ground up approach. So the challenges we faced while building that data lake was, one of the key challenge nowadays is, which we sometimes ignore, is skill set. Okay, we talk about the big data. A lot of technologies are open, so you will not find the right skill set. You need to train your existing people. The second challenge was culture. People were very much good and very much happy in doing SQL type analysis or a lot of easy language analysis, and moving them to something very techy is very challenging, of course. The third major challenge which we faced was to actually calculate the ROI. Sometimes we implement a lot of big data stacks, and we could come into the calculating the ROI. It's very challenging. But the way you design, actually you need to design your big data stack in top-down way, and you need to be focused on the use case driven. So we didn't rapidly build our data lake and start putting data. We actually we built a data lake with baseline of infrastructure, and we started driving and expanding it on basis of data, our use cases. Like I tell you, first of all, we built a couple of product use cases, product normalization use cases. We built a couple of customer index use cases. We built a couple of next best offers. We are at the real time using the big data stack, like real time streaming use cases. We connect that big data stack with our, I would say, enterprise data warehouse, and we actually reduce the cost of saving the deep data there. And we purely use it for, I would say, hot data, or I would say warm data. And we bring that deep data, and we give our machine learning engineers more big sandboxes, so they can do their EDA on top of that. So this whole journey of approximately 2.5 years for 200 million customer company in three different continents. Okay, we were sitting in a group and we built that whole stack. And these are a couple of challenges that I've talked about. There are a lot of other challenges out there. We need to consider that. Okay, guys. Skill set, culture, moving toward that area is one of the challenges you need to consider while building the big data area. And of course, value. Start with so my recommendation in this case, start with baseline, expand according to the use case. Companies who are investing a lot on big data and building a lot of big stacks and ending up in data swamps need to think that their big data stack should be driven by use cases, and use cases should be linked with the value. So I'll talk about a couple of business benefits and use cases. Of course, when it comes to the telecom, you have this decision analytics and optimization. When it comes to optimization, I'm specifically talking about the cost optimization, tariff optimization, customer related all things optimization, even the internal plannings and the infrastructure optimization. Of course, fraud detection. One of the key use cases we've done was the fraud detection in orders and sales. There are a lot of frauds which were not even detected through the EDW because we were getting a lot of, I would say, the cold data. Okay, and it was taking long time to process and to find exactly the fraud detection. We use a lot of machine learning techniques in our big data stack, where we have a lot of, I would say, margin to run a lot of open source things on our data. And of course, we work on acquisition of new customers, because while we knew the customer behaviors, we have a lot of data points. We exactly understand our customer. We worked on a lot of cross-sell and upsell techniques. So a lot of data, a lot of analytics, a lot of insight, and translating that insight driven by the use case actually help us to drive our customer acquisition journey. And of course, I talk about the upsell and cross-sell of that. Of course, we need, once you start understanding your customers, you start understanding, you have a lot of data, you have a lot of data points, you have a lot of customer demographic, you start understanding the customer, you can retain it. You can even have a better relationship or a better customer index as compared to which we have before. And of course, one of the things which we talk about is actually connecting that with the digital services. Like before that, we were not able to process our unstructured data. Okay, we are not able to use a lot of unstructured data, like the plates on the walls of the direct lines in the customer homes. We're not able to process. We're not able to process the unstructured data. We were losing a lot of market in that. We were only focusing on wireless services. So this actually help us to broaden our scope for the wireless services as well. And of course, customer experience and net promoting score. While you are trying to understand your customer, you have a lot of demographic, you have a lot of data, and you can play with that, and you can build your customer experience management in a better way to find the choking points, to find exactly where we are lagging behind, what exactly are the points in terms of network latching, what we are talking about the running customer experience using data, call, SMS, and all the other solutions you are offering. And of course, analytics as a service. As a data monetization, we built a lot of, even in one of the telecom, we were selling it to one of the, I would say, a big company, which was more like a cab company. We were selling our data points, our analytics to them, and which was bringing a lot of value. Even we were covering our investment cost in that as well. Okay, I will be covering actually the big data leveraging analytics. Okay, you talk about the big data, you have a lot of use cases on top of that. Initially, when you talk about enterprise data warehouse, you are focusing on reporting, dashboarding. Couple of you will talk about the things, but of course, when you are talking about the big data, it comes with a lot of, I would say, analytics accelerators. Like you can work on deep learning, chatbots, churn prediction. Initially, we were doing the churn prediction with very basic level of a statistical model. We moved it to more, I would say, accurate models and more precision techniques. Okay, real-time analytics, real-time decision-making, real-time offers, real-time understanding, and retaining the customer, real-time helping the teams to in terms of for retail and distribution. And of course, when it comes to actionability or advanced analytics analysis, it's more like the techniques which actually target analytical capabilities which our big data stack is leveraging us. Of course, customer engagement and external data monetization. I already talked about when you talk about external data monetization. This was the one of the biggest use case which we have done for one Telecom, which actually bring a lot of revenue to the company. That even we were ahead of the investment we have done. And it was only 4 to 5 clients. Like when I told you, one of the cab service, one of the food service, a lot of other service, because we have the data points, we have the location points, we have the geographical data of our customer. Okay, so that actually external data monetization help us to create a lot of revenue streams for our company. Of course, when I talk about the standardization and doing this, because I always focus on data swamp. So you need to be, when you are implementing your big data stack or big data analytics, you need to consider value, because if you'll not consider the value, it will become a data swamp. Don't name it data lake. Okay, so that's why you need to have a KPI standardization. You need to enable your customer with SaaS analytics. You need to keep in your mind, you need to be very much pragmatic. I tell you need to be pragmatic. You have the people with the data analysts, you have the people with data engineers, you have the people who are less close to the coding, you have the people who are very close to the coding. So you need to design your stack in a way that is pragmatic. It shouldn't be end up in a way that you are much more complex. Because when you talk about, sometimes people talk about big data architecture, guys, it's very complex. No, it's not complex. Okay, you need to design your strategy, and you need to design your architecture in a way that it should drive the value. It should be easy enough, or it should be driven by the use cases rather than building the complex stack with a lot of technologies and a lot of challenging things. So I'll be talking about a couple of big data platforms to create the telecom business journey. Of course, when it comes to the big data platform that accelerate the telecom industry business journey is, of course, I talk about the integration to the monetization. While you integrate with a lot of systems, you have a lot of data, you can monetize your data. Okay, you understand your customers, you understand your demographics of the customers, you can location, all the customer, what exactly he's doing, what exactly he's opting to, because you are a funnel from everything is possible. Of course, you need to comply with a lot of policies of GDPR and DMO, but of course, you can monetize your data, and companies or telecom is investing a lot of in, especially the data monetization or analytics as a service. Of course, when it comes to big data, it comes with scalability. Okay, I told you that one of the biggest challenge when it was 10 years back was scalability. Okay, you don't have that much scalability, don't that has capacity, don't have that much. I would say the area to analyze the things. And of course, while expanding the enterprise data warehouse or engineering system, you have high TCOs. You have tax, you have impact on OPEX and CAPEX. Of course, while you will be going for a value-driven big data architecture and frameworks, your OPEX will actually reduce because the value will bring the revenue back to the organization. And of course, one of the big use cases of big data is analytics, building your reporting, building your deep reporting, relating the reference data with the deep data, having a look of a lot of, I would say EDA, of course, single version of truth is one part. And of course, artificial intelligence. You can use machine learning, you can use open machine learning, you can use a lot of things, you can build a lot of things because you have a lot of data, you have a lot of compute, and you have a flexible architecture. In talks about big data, some people say, oh, okay, guys, it's very much flexible, but it should be governed better. And I'm not focusing on the governance part, sometime else, but the governance part is very critical when you are building your big data, I would say, framework and architecture. And of course, automation. While you are building a lot of data pipelines in the big data, you are building your framework, it should bring the automation. And of course, focus shift from the data management to data insight. I'm all the time I'm focusing on the value. Of course, I'm from the technical background, but I always talk about the value because this is the value which we sometimes missed, and we focus on the platform, bringing the platform, integrating the platform, bringing the data, putting the data, cleaning the data, and we sometimes don't even know why we are doing this. So you need to actually focus on data insights because these data insights will help for better decision making, for accurate decision making, for value-driven decision making. And of course, cybersecurity and privacy. Initially, when you talk about 10 years back, it was a new era or 12 years back, new era for the big data. People were very curious about the privacy of the data. Okay, nowadays, while you need to govern your big data stack in a way that it should be secure, it should be comply with the regulatories of the land. Okay, so I'll be covering a bit about the architecture impact, the analytics value stream. Okay, while you have how your big data architecture actually impact or brings the value to the analytical value stream. You have a modular architecture. You want to spawn your compute. You can spawn your compute. While you compare it with the other things, the old system, it's very hard to do. You have a multiple temperature of data management. You need the hot data. You need to only invest on the hot data. You want the more expansion in warm data. You need to more invest on the warm data. And you want expansion in the cold data. You need to expand it according to that. Okay. Of course, when you talk about the big data stack, you are moving your code to the data rather than you are moving your data to the code. And of course, it's more like an efficient way to do the things for specifically data with a more volume and veracity. And of course, universal data accessibility, building a data fabric or a data visualized layer on top of that can help you to have a deep data to warm data across data analytics. Of course, you're moving to the cloud first strategy. And I'm not focusing more about the cloud, that specific areas should put in the cloud or on-prem, but it's driven by the cloud first strategy, can be private cloud or public cloud. Doing more with the less. You have a lot of data. You are investing on cheap store, even investing on a lot of cheap compute that can help you to do more with less. And operation efficiency and agility are in theory linked in a way that for sake of the team who's taking a lot of time to bring the data and in the model data and a lot of other things. Of course, I'm not asking that don't model your data in the big data. You have a lot of other techniques to do the model, and it's purely driven by your use case. And of course, you need to democratize your data across the company. Data literacy, data democratization is very core behind to literate your people, to tell your people, to understand and to connect with people. Don't work in a silo big data architecture or silo big data ecosystem. Of course, this is a reference architecture, and for time being, I'm just not focusing on technologies, but I'm telling you, okay, guys, the organization who are already like a big organization, which were not born in the big data era, which were born not even the EDW era, which were born before that, need to go for a ground up approach. Okay, you need to design your big data stack in a way that they can have a scalable compute, they can have a multi temperature store, they can even run their enterprise data warehouse till they have, and every part of the ecosystem should be driven by use case, and that use case need to be value driven. You need to bring the data, why you need to bring the data. You need to store the data, why you need to store the data. It should be run by you. You have a use case of next best offer, simply bring the data, stick with that, and use that. Rather than only storing the data and make it more like a disaster recovery or backup solution. Because a lot of organizations are now thinking that they have invested a lot of millions of dollars on the big data stack, and the value is very less. Okay, as per if you compare the ROI, it's very less. Okay, because they are purely investing a lot of in platforms without linking that platform, without linking the data correctly with the use cases or products I talk about. Data products are not linked because they bring the data, and of course one part is sandboxing, but it's not very much used. Sandboxing can be run and destroyed. Okay, but the data products or the use case should be driven by value and should be linked with your big data stack. And the core purpose of this area was to tell you that in telecom sector, we learned a lot. We were very early in the big data. We invested a lot of petabytes of data lake because we are not talking about terabytes. We always talk about petabytes, and it's more like 20 petabytes, 30 petabytes data lakes. We realized that we have a lot of big data, but we have very much less in value linking into the value use case. We are only bringing the data. We are more the ODSs. We are bringing the data, putting in the file system, putting in the object stores. But we are so by the time we realize they are becoming data swamps, and we start cleaning it. Okay, even we reduce the space, and we are much bringing more value. So while you design, while you build your frameworks, while you big data, please keep in mind that it should be clearly linked with the value. Thank you very much. I'm open for your questions. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you.
Hello.
Thanks so much, Mohammed, for your wonderful presentation. We have a couple of questions coming in from the audience. So we still have some time available. So if it's okay, I would like to moderate those, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure, please.
And the first question that came in is, what are the best practices for implementing and managing a value-driven big data and analytics architecture? So do you have any kind of practical advice?
Okay. So you're talking about value-driven.
Yes, and I think more around the best practices.
Yeah, sure. So while you are moving toward the big data, or you have the big data stack, big data architecture, while you are designing this architecture, kindly don't relate. Sometimes we get confused with 2-3 things: architecture, okay, a reference architecture, platform architecture, integration architecture, and of course the use cases. Okay, use cases have their own architecture as well. They are linked. Okay, while for sake of argument, you are designing your big data, it should be going. Okay, it shouldn't end with the data swamp. While I name it data swamp, it's because you put the data, okay, and it's being there in a lot of silos. People are even sometimes accessing it, but it's not linked with any use case. Okay, people are only accessing references to EDA. Sometimes a lot of data, even if I do the analysis and all thing, it's not even accessible. Okay, I have done for one of our data lake. We even done a couple of small analysis, and we got to know that 40% of the data was never accessed, okay, by anybody. Okay, so the best practice, there are a lot of best practices when designing the architecture. I'll be focusing link with the value is that you are designing the value. It should be driven by use case. To have a use case, expand your data lake. Otherwise, don't put the data in the data lakes to fill it.
Good. I think that's very practical and also something I think makes it very tangible in order to get started. Then let me go towards the next question. The next question is from Darren. Let me project the question as well. How creative or challenging do you need to be with your use cases?
Sorry, how challenging?
So the question is on the screen. How creative or challenging do you need to be with your use cases? I also think there is some specific elements added underneath. This sounds simple, but it's really hard. And what are the challenges that exist with actually working out a good return on investment?
Okay, there are a lot of challenges. Of course, when you talk about the ROI, it's very hard to calculate the big data ROI. Honestly, to be very fair, and that's why I'm talking about to start your big data with a baseline and expand with the use cases. If you have a use case and it's running, it's bringing the value. It's actually calculating the ROI. For sake of, I'm selling my analytics on top of my big data to a third party, I'm getting the revenue. Even on a single analytics, I'm selling to a cab company. I'm telling you, guys, your customer is using my tower at this location. You can go to this location, and you can go to this. This is the optimized way to go to this location. And here's the student. He's the more like a professional. He has this type of credit scoring or something like that. We have a lot of information about the customers, and we are selling with their consent. Actually, I'm bringing the revenue back. And even I'm telling you, we invested approximately 1x on our big data, and from the data monetization, we get 9x per year. Okay, so it's very huge amount, but the whole stack is invested. And honestly, it's not like we invested in one go. We invested a lot of. We learned from that. Okay, we were having approximately 20 petabytes of data lake, and we reduced it. Okay, because we got to know that this is purely a data strategy.
Yeah, very good. Then next question, I think we still have room for some more. So next question is from Jameson. And he's saying the reference architecture looks interesting and challenging at the same time. But if I would like to recommend my organization to move towards a data-driven organization, what would be your recommendation in the short term and the long term to kickstart this initiative?
Okay. Of course, that's need a couple of industry, what exactly the organization is, what exactly is the data-driven means to them. Sometimes we confuse between the things. Like, honestly, big data means to telecom is purely different as compared to banking. Okay, I work for banking, it means different to insurance even. Okay, it means a different to retail even. Okay, so my advice sometimes to the people is don't start understanding, okay, the telecom is doing this, so bank can do this. Of course, that's different. They have their different business architecture. Link your architecture or technology architecture with business architecture. We sometimes miss it because this is very core. Okay, if you are not linking your technology architecture with the business architecture, you are copying from some industry. You can learn from their learnings. You can use their integration architecture, or you can do a lot of learnings from them. But link it with your business objectives. When you are linking with your business objective, you are linking with actually the value, because of the business objective of any organization is linked with their value. Okay, for my side, to make your organization data driven is actually driving from use cases, educating your business user on making the data democratic in easy way to be accessed, and actually helping them to bridge between. Sometimes I feel in a lot of organizations that there is a big gap between the end users and the technology people. Okay, there need to be a mediator team that creates or that delivers a role to actually remove the silos and to literate the both sides. We sometimes talk about literating the business user, we don't talk about literating the technology people as well. We need to literate our technology people that they should know what exactly is the business requirement and what exactly is coming in terms of business challenges or the market challenges.
Good. I think that's very, very good. Then the next question is from John. And John is asking, how can firms improve access to the use of the big data analytics framework, since users generally, they are still scared?
Yeah, this is our challenges we usually face on the daily basis. And how we reduce is that showing them the value. Okay, we have an internal team, and this idea was floated like 4 or 5 years back for a different organization in Europe, that we need to have an internal I would say use case team as well. Sometimes we only focus, okay, guys, we are technology people and we will build the big data framework and we've class. Okay, no. We build our internal team and they start doing small POCs value driven small POCs and start presenting it to business user. We went to retail teams, we went to distribution team, we went to finance, we went to marketing, sales, CLM, and we start presenting, okay, guys, this can be happen from our stack. You have this type of data. This can help you to drive this type of analytics. You can do this type of prediction on the customer segmentation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This actually gives them the confidence. And we brought up a lot of, I'd say, business cases or business use cases to us. And we start delivering and we collaborate. So we need to have an internal, I would say, analytics team. This is a good idea. And this we actually learned from our, because this was a challenge at that time, that business team was not using the data. We have a big data stake and we were even educating them a lot of things, but they were, okay, this is very hard to use, it's very hard to code, it's very hard to access, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we start having the POCs and start selling to them, because until unless you see the value, you get to stick to it.
Good. And then towards one of the last questions, unless more are coming in, and last question is from Jameson. I also heard you talk a lot around data silo. What would be your recommendation in overcoming the challenges of data silos?
So first we need to understand why is the data silos. Data silos is that when you start filling your data lake. I have 40 systems, and I build my big data. Okay, and I start filling it. Okay, building the jobs, data pipeline, without thinking, we'll use it. Okay, I told you we were having a big data, petabytes of big data lake, and finally we got to know that 40 to 50% is not being accessed for 1 year. Okay, so the problem starts from behind that. We start to understand why we sourced it, because we need to fill it. We need to show the power. Okay, guys, we have big data. Guys, we don't have use cases. It's not necessary to have the big data. Okay, we need to understand, if you don't have a use case, it's not must to have a big data. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a use case, drive it, expand it. It will bring the value. Okay. Okay. Companies Big companies are investing a lot in big data without understanding either they need it or not. They need it, but they need to first sit with the business and need to have industry-specific people, and they need to tell them, guys, we can predict this type of thing. We can have a cognitive capabilities. We can have a chat bot. We can build an NLP algorithm. We can tell you about your customer 360 picture much better way. We can predict your customer next best offer. We can tell you about much more better way in upselling and cross-selling. We can optimize your cost. Okay, we can help you in operational efficiency. Build small use cases and then start expanding it. Okay, it's a long journey, but it's a value-driven journey. Don't put a stack with 100 nodes and start filling it once it's filled at 80%, and then start to know that, guys, it's a silo.
Could I say a small step first?
Yeah, small steps, but driven by use cases.
Yeah, by use cases. Okay, great. Let me have a quick look. I think that's the end. Oh, there's one more question coming in. Let's do that one as well. In your opinion, what are the key components and principles of value-driven big data organizations and analytics architecture? So in other words, I think, what is the main takeaway? What's the main message?
Okay, so main message is that companies who are moving toward big data or on the big data, they need to analyze how much data they have sourced in the system is accessed even. Sometimes we don't even do the auditing. We have terabytes of data there. We don't do the auditing, okay? We need to see how much data is accessed and how much data is actually bringing the value, okay? Let me tell you, we brought up 500 tables from one source system, and we built 2-3 use cases on top of that. And in some exercise, we were doing the expansion and finally realized that only 15 tables were used.
Good.
That's very shocking for us, but it's a big data. We don't need to name it big data. We need to name it value-driven big data. Okay, it should be value. Okay, so while we can delete the other table, we can bring a lot of other data to us and a lot of other files to it that can drive the value. Okay, you don't need to expand every time. You need to see exactly where we can actually, while you will link it with the use cases. And secondly, one of the more big suggestion is link your big data strategy with the business strategy. Don't work in silos. Company is moving in X direction and you are moving in Y direction, you will not work. Okay, and you one of the missing thing in the technology people is they only focus on technologies, on the big data architecture framework. They don't know even what is use case. You need to sit with the business. You need to break the silos. Either you need to design your organization in a way that you have a mediator between the team that actually literate the both. We only nowadays talk about literating the business user. We don't talk about literating the technology people as well. Okay, so we need to literate the both ends.
I think your takeaway around linking a big data strategy towards your business strategies is absolutely very strong point, and hopefully also one of the key lessons everyone will take away from this session.
Yeah, thank you very much.
With that, Mohammed, we're getting towards the end of our time. So before I close, let me showcase the rest what's coming up. So we're at the halfway point of our sessions today. So that means that it's getting time for our next panel discussion. So in 20 minutes from now, I will be hosting a panel discussion, which is around a topic that is very close to my heart, but also we've seen it being discussed at various sessions throughout the day, and that is around data literacy. I'm gonna be talking to Eric, who is an ambassador at the Service Automation Framework Alliance. I'm also having on the panel Professor Dr. Lau, who is from Somewhere University, and Adnan Chowdhury, who's the technical director of AI at Aeroline Group. So that's promising to be a very, very interesting panel with a lot of insights. So if you have any questions for our panel in 20 minutes, we look forward to seeing you back again into our next session. For now, I would like to thank Mohammed for his contribution and your excellent presentation. Thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor.